How I turned $200 into $100,000 on Shopify in 3 years. I'm gonna give you guys a story about, and it's not really a story, it's just like, well, it is a story of what I've done, but it's the like, A to Z of what I did in the first 3 years of my business. I guess it's been a couple of years. I've kind of superseded that number, like $100,000. I passed that years ago. But I'm gonna give you the story of how I spent $200 to accumulate $100,000 at Shopify as a part-time, remote, low-effort role on Shopify with an e-commerce business, and how I started, how I accumulated the money at first, and just the A to Z. Now, a lot of people talk about this. I'm gonna give you guys some of the examples of things that I did that are very unique to me that you'll see with very successful people, but a lot of people that make content on YouTube don't talk about it because they usually start this with a ton of money, right? And my investment was $200. That's what I had at the time. I was in college and I just didn't have more money. And there's a way to do this with not a lot of money, right? And a lot of people that make content kind of like forego the ad spend, and they also like discount the thing that you could have a failed product, and that if you have a failed product and you spend $500 or $1,000 on ad spend, and it's a failed product, you just lose that money and you have to do it again. So they don't people that are watching that don't realize that these guys to make the video are actually spending, $20, $30, $40,000 until a product hits, and then they make the video, right? And then it's a write-off against the ad spend. So this is just what I did, and this is what made me successful. So I started with $200. I knew that I wanted to get into the industry that I was getting in. So what I did was I spent my $200. I didn't register a business. I didn't do anything. I just went to the manufacturer and just said, can I get a sample of this product? But I'd like to just get, I think I got, for the $200, I think I got 45 units of the product. So I got 45 of the product. It wasn't high cost of product. My resale value was gonna be about $40. I knew that people were selling them, like this is a competitive industry, but I knew that they were being priced around $75, and it was a pretty well-known product. So I just basically found a product that you could buy at a bunch of different stores, and I knew that it was $75, right? And I knew that it wasn't like, it was niche enough that like, it's not like it was in a retail store, but it was specific enough that there were like Facebook groups around it, right? I'm gonna use camera equipment as a gear. Let's use like a tripod as an example. That's a pretty competitive, it's probably more competitive than you need to, but let's just use a tripod as an example, right? So let's say most tripods are $100, right? I basically found a tripod that was $100. I found that I could get it for 10, right? And then I was like, I'm gonna sell it for 40. What I've created there is just this like price fallacy, right? When somebody's like, whoa, that's a $40 tripod, they're gonna buy it because it's cheap, right? It's less than half the cost. So what I did is I bought 45 units of this thing for $200. I didn't have a business, I didn't have a plan. I was just like, let me see if I can resell this, right? It's so cheap that people are probably gonna buy it because it's such a discount, right? And at the very least, it'll help me generate a little bit of money to start my business. I bought it. It came like 2 months later because it shipped via sea on Alibaba. It was like very confusing. I didn't know what I was doing at first. I got plenty of videos on the channel explaining how that all works. And then I made a Facebook post on one of the groups specific to the niche of the product that I'm in. And I'm just saying like, hey, I've started a business. This is my product. I'm doing an initial sale. I've got 45 units. They're going to be on sale for $39.99. Comment below if you want one, right? I didn't even have a website at this point, right? And I kid you not, in 48 hours, I sold all of them. PayPal, Venmo, that was basically it. I just accepted PayPal mostly. A few people wanted to Venmo. Sold them, shipped them. I made like, after shipping and the product cost, I think I had like a $15 margin. But I walked away after that with my $200 back and about $450 on top of that. So I had about $650 at that point. And then I did it again, but I spent the full $650. And I got my shipping down a little bit more, and I turned that $650 into about $2,000. So I did it twice, right? The second time took a little bit longer because I quite literally had like 145, 150 units, right? But I'd start building this relationship with a manufacturer on Alibaba, and that's how that all started. And then with that about $2,000, I launched the business. I registered an LLC, I started a Shopify, and I threw my one product on there, right? I knew that I needed to get more products, but I found that one product, and then I bought more of that one product, and then I had a website. Now, once I had the website, my posts on these groups, they were a lot easier, right? Because I had a website, I got traction, and I sold it much faster because it felt like a much more trusted source versus buying it from somebody via PayPal that was just starting their business, right? Sold them pretty quickly, and I just reinvested. So my startup time was really slow, right? I was going through low volumes of product, but I didn't want to invest more than $200. I'll be honest, like my risk tolerance is really low because I didn't have very much money. And then I added another product and another product, and I just kept rinsing and repeating this. I never carried a ton of inventory. I didn't drop ship at that time. I was just carrying products. I'd get 20 or 30 of them, and then 50 or 60 of them, and then 60 to 100 of them. And then even today, I never go over 100 because I can usually get the products in 3 weeks once I order them. I have an inventory system that just tells me, reorder this now. The pricing with these manufacturers between 100 and 1,000 units doesn't change. So I can order 100 of them. It's gonna cost the same. I pay cubic pricing for shipping. So it's all the same. And I kind of rinsed and repeat. And I started that in 2018. It's now 2024. and I think I have about 65 products that I continually sell about 100 units at a, like I have stock about 100 units a time. And then I resell on massive drop shipping. I have about 3,000 products that I drop ship now. And that's just because those products are much, much more expensive, like $800 to $2,000 order value. But that's the business that I'm in, right? And that's how I started it. And it just started from $200, and I slowly grew, and I slowly took my time and risk tolerance low. And, you know, I crossed the $100,000 mark in 2022, in like 2022. So maybe it was like technically closer to 3.5 years, but like, and then since then, you know, it's grown further and further. And now through all this, I was also creating a lot of organic content. So I wasn't doing a lot of, actually I did no paid ads, right? I spent $0 in advertising, which a lot of people don't do. I have another video on this channel talking about how I grew the business with $0 in ads. But in the short answer, if you want the quick 10 seconds, I just made content around the products that I made. So like, let's say you were doing the tripod example. I'm pointing like that because there's a tripod that I'm looking at right now, because obviously I'm filming a video. But I would just make YouTube videos about like the top 5 best tripods, and my tripod would be number 1. Or I'd say like, you know, different ways you can use a tripod, and I would use my tripod as an example. Or I'd say like best tripods of 2024, and I'd use my tripod. And I just kept rinsing and repeating this content. And it's amazing. None of this stuff has to go viral. Like if you get it on YouTube, it will grow slowly, but it doesn't take a lot of views and interactions to funnel sales, right? And even today, like my business is doing close to 6 figures a year in profit, and it's being supported with no ad spend, with a YouTube channel that has less than 20,000 subscribers and is generating that, including ad spend, right? So it doesn't take a lot of traction for each niche that I've run through and that people run through to generate a lot in sales. That should also give you the empowering statement of, if you get to the point where you have like a social media platform with like 100, 150,000 people that follow it, there's a lot of money to be made, right? I mean, that's just inherent. So the short answer is that's the journey. That's what you would do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something. There's a lot of information on this channel about how to bootstrap your business and how to grow an e-com from literally nothing. So I highly encourage looking at some of the other videos on this channel, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.